So the 60s were a point at which we began to change the consensus about what America was all about. We had theretofore a consensus about the virtue of the American experience. That these men who gathered in one place in 1776 and again in 1787, one of the more miraculous aggregations of humankind and intellect in the history of the West, somehow this was not exceptional for what they did, that they did not launch us on a path of exceptionalism as a country. And I think a culmination of that there have been many culminations, came in shortly after Obama was elected president when he went and gave his Cairo speech. And he said, the concept of American exceptionalism is wrong. Really? Now that was well after what, 40 years, 45 years after the 60s that you asked your question about. But it was an affirmation that what began in the 60s, the destruction of that, the breakdown of that consensus, came to a point where he was even saying it in 2008, 2009, that we were no different from all the countries that have gone before. So we began to ask that question about America implicitly in the 60s. And it has brought us to the present point where we now have things like the 1619 Project, which is saying, 1776 was it was actually a bad thing, not a good thing. And that the good thing was 1619. And so I think the 1960s are all wrapped up in that transformation from where we were to what we have become.